Welcome one and welcome all to the Watkins Glen International. What an amazing race we have on store for you today, as we have a really good strength of field here for the NIS series on Friday night. Back-to-back road course races as we head to my favorite track on the entire circuit. I absolutely love this place. Super fast. With you're just throwing heavy stock cars around this unbelievably fast road course. I'm Austin Edstrom. I'll be joined soon by my co-commentator Brian Britt. And as always, we are joined by Austin Derbyshire in the production booth. I think we're in for a good show here tonight. As we see, the track length is 2.42 miles. The temperature here today is 73 degrees with a track temp of 104. Relatively cold compared to most of the A Opens here this week, with just a slight breeze of 3 miles an hour. We're actually going to take a look at the point standings real quick right here. This is after the Indianapolis Motor Speedway road course. Chris Wilhite currently leading the points. I don't believe Garrett Maines ran last week. I'm not 100% certain on that, but he actually lost the points lead, so we're going to have to see if Garrett can make up any ground this week. Nicholas Roman falls to the third spot. Joseph in fourth. Joshua Watson fifth. Alex Murray in sixth place. Seventh is Matt Hollabaugh. Eighth, Ryan Carwile. Ninth, Justin Levine. 10th, Maurice Glazer. 11th is Andrew Kotska, and 12th is Ronnie Kuritz.
Appreciate the patience there, Austin. Definitely glad to be here, though. Definitely excited to see we got some close points racing here tonight.
Yeah, no kidding, Brian. You took the Bible verse "Love thy neighbor" very seriously here this week. Had to leave for a couple minutes there.
I got to run over there.
Exactly. What a great man you are for going to help out your neighbor whenever you have other duties you're supposed to be doing over here. Totally not,
Oh,
now
I feel like I'm being passive aggressively called out here.
We're actually going to take a quick look at our schedule as Brian gets himself situated. Anyway, this Sunday, we've got the Global Racing Truck League at Watkins Glen. I actually think this is last week's schedule, so I don't know where the Champion Truck Series is actually going to be. The Champion Power Equipment Truck Series,
Phoenix,
that is.
actually.
Phoenix. Thank you, Brian. Thank God you showed up for this. Then Wednesday, we've got the Thunderclap Racing Series at... Brian Britt doesn't know that one. He only knew the Truck Series, unfortunately. But Friday night is actually going to be at Daytona next week. What an amazing race we've got then. But yeah, that's our schedule coming up this week. The times on the bottom are correct. It's just the tracks are a little off. We'll have that fixed next week for you.
I also do want to mention as well, this coming, of course, tomorrow night, actually, we're going to be racing with some majors competition there. I do believe it's going to be the Formula 4s out on Long Beach, and that's going to be interesting. We actually have it confirmed that David Land, very popular YouTuber, is going to be joining us on the broadcast as well.
Wow, that's actually really entertaining. I'm excited about that. And we just finished qualifying. Actually, we're not finished yet. We're 5 minutes into it. I forgot we have 8 minutes for qualifying, but we have a kind of shaken up field, kind of from what I expected. Our resident pro driver here, Garrett Maines, currently in the 9th position on qualifying times. We have our last week's winner, Rodrigo Narvaez, laying down a blistering 109.802 lap. That's the fastest lap I've seen this week, personally. I did say that this track was just a little bit colder, as actually Garrett Maines has one more lap left. My mistake on that. So he might end up laying down a little bit quicker lap. Sean Conklin in second. Really impressive considering he had all types of trouble last week at Indianapolis. I mean, I couldn't count on one hand how many times I saw him either going off or getting wrecked by somebody else. So impressive from Sean Conklin. He had previously held the fastest lap that I had seen this week. He's been in the 109s for quite a while. So good job from him just to see the consistency kind of come back after the one poor week that I saw him have. As Garrett Maines comes out of turn number 5. That's a carousel back there. A little weird having the track turns on this are a little strange, just not running the boots. We're actually coming into turn 6 here, the penultimate corner, as Garrett tries to get a nice straight run out. Oh, he gets just a little loose, just extending the track as much as he can. Man, he gets really loose coming out of that corner, able to right at the ship just about in time for the final corner, but that is going to cost him just a little bit of time. Let's see where this lap puts Garrett Maines on the leaderboard.
Pretty good lap. I mean, but I think he might. I think he got a 1X or something that has disqualified that lap, so it did not actually count. It was a minute 09.968, so very wasteful there. That would have put him, I do believe, up to 3rd place. So that is unfortunate. And one thing I'm noticing here is a much different group of guys tonight. This is kind of interesting to see. A lot of different faces that we usually don't see in this NIS series. So, of course, keep in mind that these drivers this week are using the road course iRating to determine top split.
Yeah, it kind of definitely shakes up the field a little bit. Our normal A couple normal names that we see, week in, week out at the ovals are not here this week. Justin Levine is one that kind of pops out in my mind immediately. I know he's in the second split, so it's kind of weird seeing some really fast guys typically on the ovals not being in these races. But we're here to get the fastest guys on the road courses for these individual weeks. So I'm happy to see who we've got. We've got different contenders up front than we normally see. Like I mentioned, Rodrigo Narvaez won last week. Sean Conklin up in second. He's typically pretty good on the ovals himself, but he's kind of showing now his road course prowess. Neil Pearson, I believe, finished in the top 5 last week. He's shown back up for a good showing. And Watkins Glen is one of those tracks where it's just so fast. And like I mentioned earlier, you're wheeling these heavy stock cars around this fast road course. It is an unbelievable challenge, especially going into the bus stop with that wall that just kind of protrudes almost out to the first curb.
I've seen a lot of drivers hit that. They get under braking, and the car just some reason wants to shoot to the right, and you get right into the wall. But it does look like qualifying has wrapped up here as that 8 minutes is over. I do believe we have the final, or should I say starting grid here. And of course, Rodrigo Narvaez going to be starting. Narvaez, I should be saying, starts on the pole here. Second place, Sean Conklin. Third place, Neil Pearson. Fourth place, Trent Dinkle. Fifth place, Andrew Dyson. Sixth place, Richard Garcia. I remember he was fast. And seventh place, Lawrence Shaughnessy. Ninth place, or should I say eighth place, is Daniel Nanny. Ninth place is Garrett Maines. 10th place, Cody Richardson.
11th is going to be Alan Wilson III. 12th, Tyler Marble. 13th, Matthew Martell. 14th, Vincent Picchiotti. My goodness, my bad on that one. 15th, Jehar Borbarema. I'm used to saying that one. 16th, John Payson. 17th, Don Keene. 18th, Ryan Teagle. 19th, William Driley. And 20th place, Andrew Perkins.
21st, Adam Matz. 22nd, Drew Eisenman. 23rd, Jose Acosta. 24th, Jason Wallet. 25th, Dante Wright. 26th, Matthew Spinanzi. I do believe that's how you say that name. Sorry if I'm butchering names. Don't send me any mean emails. 27th, Brian Smith. 28th, Michelle Bastion. 29th, Hunter Devine. And 30th, Cody Neal. And, of course, just 2 more drivers. Mark Pageant, 31st. Actually, no Mark Pageant from another series I used to call, so good luck to him. 32nd, Joe Beasley. And I do want to go back up to, I do believe, what was it, Vincent Pisciotti. I do believe that is actually Vincent Crowe. A lot of people know him by that.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. In the iRacing service, it says Vincent Crowe, but on our overlay there, it was Pisciotti. I guess I was unaware of that little change right there. But, yeah, Vincent Crowe's a very fast driver. I've been seeing him put in a lot of practice this week. I was helping him out with some of the stuff over there with the TWRS stuff, and I think he's found some really good speed this week. I think he's really good through the bus stop, and that's the danger corner, I mean, well, that and the S's. I mean, if an accident happens on the S's, especially on this first lap, whenever everybody is close together, it's just going to be an absolute, I was about to say a bad word, but some mayhem going up that track, just bouncing off the walls. So we see the pace car rolling here now.
Yeah. It looks like our pole sitter, Narvaez, has missed the grid. That is going to be huge, just considering, I mean, this race is not going to have any cautions at all, except for this one right here at the beginning. Now, that is going to be, I have a feeling, a costly thing to have happened, to miss the grid.
Well, it actually looks like he intentionally missed the grid. He said, I'm going to start from the pits, I'm afraid. So maybe he's a little worried about the, probably not the bus stop. If you're in the lead, I probably wouldn't worry about the bus stop too much. But going up the S's here, it's really just so sketchy, especially on cold tires, especially dependent on your setup. I've ran a couple different setups this week, and some of them feel really, really good on the first lap, but some of them, man, through the S's on the cold tires, it's just about impossible to get up there clean.
Yeah, I mean, I get that maybe it's sketchy, and you might be worried about that, but I'm pretty sure, track position is going to be extremely important here this evening, and I just would not want to give that up. And I feel like this is going to be a gift to a driver like Neil Pearson or Sean Conklin. I think more so probably Pearson, considering he's going to be kind of on that preferred groove. But I expect turn 1 is going to be very, very scary here as these guys follow through the bus stop here to get ready to go green. And as I mentioned, no yellow flags should come out in this race, so this thing's going to fly by fairly quickly. 45 laps. What's kind of interesting about this race, though, that has been different from the A Opens, is that you can actually make it on gas in the A Open. You have to do a lot of saving, though. You're not going to have to really save here. You're going to be required to have a fuel stop. So that means these drivers are really going to push these race cars to the limits.
Yeah, these guys are going to be going balls to the wall from lap 1. Track position is so important and is so unbelievably hard to pass at a fast road course like Watkins Glen in these next-gen vehicles. So every bit that you can get on this opening start, you try to compromise other people's checkups through the S's, through the bus stop. You just got to get all you can get right whenever you can get it here at the beginning.
100%. Well, here we go. Getting ready to enter turn, the last turn, I do believe turn 7, if I'm not mistaken. As the pace car, that Porsche, don't get to see that Porsche very often, it's going to be taking a right turn instead of a left down pit road. And here we go as the field gets ready to come through the Geico restart zone. And the green flag is out for the first time here at Watkins Glen as we get ready to conquer 45 laps of insane action here as they already are going 3 wide as they prepare to enter turn 1.
That's Garrett Maines there on the inside. He's already picked up a position or 2 off the start. Neil Pearson runs Sean Conklin out wide on the exit of turn number 1. That's going to put Sean really, really wide through the S's and give Andrew Dyson the second position. Oh, Sean Conklin gets tapped by Garrett Maines going into the first corner of the S's. And Sean Conklin has gone from the starting on the front row in second position down to about 6th place already.
Now that is crazy, and you can just see the level of aggression that Garrett Maines has. He's got such confidence with his car, though, car control. And he's already up to 3rd. I mean, what a big run there for him as he drives his way all the way up to Andrew Dyson already. Of course, Neil Pearson is in the lead. Let's see how long oh, Pearson goes wide. This is going to open the door for Andrew Dyson.
Good move here from Andrew Dyson as Neil Pearson makes just a little bit of a mistake, but that's actually going to open up the door for Garrett Maines. Garrett Maines started this race in the 9th position, got to move up 1 row into 7th because of the leader not pitting, and it looks like he's going to try to take the lead on the outside going into turn number 6.
Oh, in contact as he goes a little bit wide. You got to watch out. A lot of these times you can get 1Xs through some of these corners if you go really, really wide, but Garrett Maines has taken the lead. Man, he was playing, I don't know what kind of game he was playing there. He was on another level there. I mean, the way he was able to weave in and out between Andrew Dyson and Neil Pearson was just some expert level driving there from the one machine.
Yeah, you're not kidding. Going from 9th or 7th to 1st here on the first lap, it doesn't matter if you're an iRacing pro or not. That is unbelievably impressive. I mean, he got past Andrew Dyson like it was just about nothing. And we got a replay here showing something on lap 1. Oh, we got some crashes going in the bus stop. I thought everybody made it through clear, but it looks like it didn't. Towards the back of the pack, they're still too wide going into the corner.
Whoa.
Oh, that's Rodrigo Navaja starting from the pits. He was starting on pole, decided to start from the pits. He was worried. He said he was scared, and he's actually taken out Mark Padgett entering the bus stop on the first lap. Oh, we're looking at Jose Acosta here in the number 29 machine going into the carousel. Oh, he just gets a little loose. They wreck in front of him, and he has just about nowhere to go. He gets spun around from somebody behind. Gonna nose it into the inside wall. A couple other drivers do the same thing. Probably not too much damage on that machine. I don't think anybody else really got any major damage either. That is going to put Jose Acosta towards the back of the pack as well.
100%. Of course, we look at another replay here. We got some battling as well on the live screen. As we actually look back at this pass for the lead, this is Garrett Maines. And look at that, how he jumped right in front of Andrew Payne to take that top side. And just expert level right here. I mean, he had such car control. Other drivers would have spun it out right here, but he just knew exactly what he needed to do, took the lead. But, of course, Sean Conklin, who kind of was the one that gotten the positions taken from him, is now back up to 4th. He had fallen back to 6th. He just got by Trent Dinkle just a moment ago.
Yeah, y'all are going to have to ignore the whatever's going on at the top left. Our scoring monitor is just a little broken, it seems, at this sense. So we're going to actually turn that off for now. We're just going to have the lap counter up on the top. That is Garrett Maines in the lead. 2nd place, Andrew Dyson. 3rd place, Neil Pearson. Sean Conklin has recovered after his disastrous lap 1 and gotten back up to 4th place. And Trent Dinkle is running in the 5th position on lap number 4.
Also kind of got a battle pretty good, running pretty good right here. Vincent Crow versus Lawrence Shaughnessy for that 9th place position. Crow trying to hold off Shaughnessy. Was a little bit closer, but it looks like Crow has gotten better exit there. Love that paint scheme. Of course, that is a reference back to, I do believe, Quinn Half. I know a lot of people probably didn't like that driver, but that was one of the most beautiful schemes.
Why in the world is Vincent running a Quinn Half tribute paint scheme? That is ridiculous.
I don't know.
I'm not a fan, but either way, I'm a fan of Vincent. I'm not a fan of the paint scheme. I'm going to have to ask him to change that after this race because that's disgusting.
Oh, my word. We were just talking about Rodrigo. He's actually been moving through the field. He's in 18th right now. Just got by Andrew Perkins there. So we do have him trying to work his way through the field. And you mentioned how fast he was at Indy, so watch out for the 9 machine. I think he's going to be one to keep an eye on.
Yeah, I want to point out somebody else. Lawrence Shaughnessy actually made the pass on Vincent Crow in the front stretch there. Vincent just let him go. I think he saw Lawrence was a little bit faster. I actually want to sing Lawrence Shaughnessy's praises a little bit. Ever since we started announcing the NIS, I've seen him caught up in so many incidents. He typically runs around the 20th position. He starts in the back, I believe intentionally most of the time, and just seems to be caught up in other people's accidents a lot of times. Typically not to his own doing, but he's running very solid here in the 9th position currently. He did start a little bit higher up in the 7th position, only lost a couple spots off the start, but I've ran with him once this week already, and he was pretty quick, very opposite of what I think I saw from him at the Indianapolis road course. So a couple of these Ryko guys, I think, struggled heavily last week. I mentioned Sean Conklin already. Lawrence Shaughnessy was another one of those drivers, but both of those guys have recovered, rebounded up into the top 10 currently.
Yeah, and these are much different racetracks. I mean, we see Indianapolis Road. That's like expert mode in Guitar Hero. This racetrack's more like easy, I'd say, for a lot of drivers. Everybody's familiar with Watkins Glen, and they've had enough time, I'd say, to turn laps out here. This track, in a lot of ways, was purpose built for NASCAR. I think it just feels like anytime you think of NASCAR road course, Watkins Glen is what comes to mind.
I agree 100%. I just don't think that the slow corners kind of work on road courses for the NASCAR vehicles with them being so heavy. I think the next gen has made them a little bit better, even though they've had like some dirty air issues that kind of make it tough. But they're more purpose-built for road courses now. But in the past, and even now with these next gen cars, I just feel like these cars have always put on a good show at Watkins Glen. I've never watched a Watkins Glen race and been disappointed.
Oh, no, not at all. I mean, it's such a fast racetrack as well. I mean, I don't think that there has been a generation of race car that has come to this racetrack and it's put on a bad show. I mean, I think it's just Watkins Glen. That's why it has stood the test of time, and that's why it's synonymous with NASCAR racing at road courses. So, I mean, I think Watkins Glen's here to stay for quite a while. Garrett Maines is also here to stay in the lead for quite a while, as he's pulling away to almost a second now on Andrew Dyson.
Yeah, Andrew Dyson is doing a good job keeping Garrett Maines honest, though. If you can keep that gap close, there's really not anything you can do whenever you've got a driver of the caliber of Garrett Maines. You really got to hope for him to make mistakes, but if you can keep it close, it at least opens the door for if he does make a mistake. So Andrew Dyson doing a good job right here, right now. Last week, he was P1 going through turn number 7 at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and he got taken out by the lap car of Jose Acosta. I think that could be another problem here today. This is such a difficult track to pass. It's very easy to lose time, especially through the bus stop and carousel against lap cars if they're right in front of you. So as long as Andrew Dyson can keep close to Garrett Maines whenever he starts lapping vehicles, I think he's got a chance to challenge Garrett at some time later in this race.
No, I was just getting ready to mention that as well, that lap traffic is going to come into play. I mean, he's got about, I do believe, 30 or so seconds on the guy that is on deck to possibly go a lap down, and it's going to happen. It's bound to happen. And a lot of times, lap traffic could be the bane of your existence at a track like this, especially how fast this track is. If you catch someone through the S's or, at a certain point in the bus stop, it can slow you down incredibly. I mean, and, Garrett is probably going to be on his toes when he comes through some of those areas. So if Andrew Dyson is able to gain a couple tenths or something through those areas, that could bring him into the game. But I also say keep an eye on Sean Conklin. I don't think he's out of it either. He's been showing some really good pace. He's been really running laps that are very, very much competitive compared to Garrett Maines. Last time by, he was about 3 tenths faster than Maines. Now, of course, Maines' fastest lap was the fastest lap of the race so far, a minute 09.807. But still, Conklin is trending to be faster right now.
Yeah, like I mentioned earlier, Sean had a really tough time last week, had a lot of incidents, but I've seen him be crazy fast this week at the Glen. So good to see him kind of rebound, because we typically see him towards the front of the oval races. So I was kind of shocked to see him so far off the pace at the Indianapolis road course, but doing a great job in P3 so far. But Andrew Dyson, if we look up to the P2 car, he is actually closing down that gap to Garrett Maines just corner by corner. He's actually closing in really, really well as those tire temps have kind of come up and the pressures have gone up as well. It just seems like he's got a little bit more in the tank than Garrett Maines at this point.
Now, that's definitely interesting. I mean, of course, they have burned off a little bit of the gas in the tank. The fuel window is about 32 laps, I think, or 34, somewhere in that area. Of course, in the A Opens, I mentioned it. The guys have been able to make it to 35. Now, drivers in this race are not going to really be saving a lot. Maybe Garrett Maines' tires got heated up a little bit. I mean, he did abuse them, I'd say, on that first couple laps. I mean, he drove his way from 9th to 1st. You don't do that without paying some sort of price, right? So maybe Andrew was taking a little bit easier, and he's got better tires at the moment. Of course, last time by, I do believe Andrew Dyson actually ran the fastest lap of the drivers that lap.
Yeah, really impressive from Andrew. Like, we knew from last week that he was going to be crazy quick, but I just love that line he's taking through the carousel there. He's absolutely abusing the curb on entry, just really letting the car wrap on the bottom, just letting it rotate before he gets on the throttle. Then using all the exit there, just kind of following Garrett Maines in his tracks, not losing really any time. Looks like he's been about half a tenth slower this lap, but over the course of a road course, That's really not much time. You can gain that back in a corner or two if you really try hard enough. So really close battle up front.
No, I think that this battle is going to start to accordion. I think some guys are going to start to catch up because of the battle between Andrew Dyson and Garrett Maines. I think Conklin's going to catch up. I think Dinkle might even enter the picture. Trent Dinkle's been really, really fast this week as well. He's been really showing that he's got a lot of road course prowess, as we see. I do believe some drivers letting other drivers go a little bit further back here. So still battling all throughout the field. It is fairly calm, calmer than it was earlier, that's for sure.
And calmer than it was last week. After last week, I thought we were going to see a bit of craziness kind of entering this race, but everybody's kind of spread out and even pacing. There's just not really those crazy heavy banking, crazy heavy braking zones with change in banking like you see at the Indy road course. You know, turn 12 on the Indy road course, you would just come back onto the banking from the flat track on the infield, and then you're just into a really heavy braking zone, 90-degree corner. You don't really have those here at this racetrack. You do have a couple 90-degree corners, but they're not that heavy of braking. Turn 1 is kind of heavy, but there's just not too much elevation change. It does kind of go downhill a little bit, but if you've got your car set up well, you can take that corner pretty well.
What I think is really impressive, though, for all these drivers here is 29 drivers are still on the lead lap. Only 2 drivers are now a couple laps down, of course, that being Adam Matz and Michel Bastien. As we take a replay, I do believe we might have an accident on the racetrack here. As yeah, there it is. We're looking back at Michel Bastien, of course, who is, I do believe, 6 laps down now. And this is what happened to him in that 22. He comes to a stop. Might have broken a toe link here. And it's very easy to do. You know, this is, even though we're talking about this is one of the easier tracks, one of the things that does make this track go somewhat more difficult is all of the metal guardrails that surround this place. It's so easy to hit them, wouldn't you say, Austin?
Oh yeah, for sure. You know, I keep bringing back the Indy road course, but it's just because, you know, we visit them 2 weeks in a row, and it's very easy to point out the similarities and differences week to week. And you know, last week we did have walls every now and again on the left side of the track, but you know, you could almost use that to help you slow down a little bit if you kind of overcook a corner and you're just not really nosing yourself into a wall there. Here, if you get sideways, you're going hard into a guardrail. We've seen it multiple times in real life. I believe it was Ryan Newman coming off of the carousel a couple years ago who just went straight nose first into the inside wall and then came back across and got nailed by Jeff Gordon. We've seen people blow turn number 1, or like Jimmy Johnson did like back in the early 2000s in a Busch car. He just completely lost brakes going into turn number 1 and went hard into the wall. So this is a very unforgiving racetrack. We don't have to worry about brake failures here tonight, so that shouldn't be a problem. But I've seen a lot of guys miss the entry of turn number 1 even without you know, brake issues.
Yeah, and also keep in mind, you know, we could end up having incident points count in this race, and it's very easy to get them. I mean, I know in the real life race at Watkins Glen, a lot of the drivers go really, really wide on these corners to kind of maximize the momentum on exit. Well, if you try to do that here, a lot of times you can get an X. It's very easy to do. Of course, and also I seen last night I broadcasted a race, and a guy locked it up going into the bus stop and hit that, like you were talking about, that wall right there we're seeing on our screen that juts out. Very easy to hit that as well. So there is a lot of traps out here that you could very well hit. But of course, while we have a little bit of a lull here in the action, we'll go ahead and take a moment to pay some attention to our sponsors. We'll be right back here with NIS competition at Watkins Glen on GridVision. Welcome back, everybody, to GridVision's presentation of the NIS at Watkins, Glen. Of course, my name is Brian Britt. I have Austin Edstrom as my co-commentator. Of course, Austin Derbyshire down behind the cameras. Do apologize for a little bit of a technical difficulty we had there under commercial. We had a glitch with our audio, but hopefully you enjoyed the visuals. Big shout out to Sim Racing Market Place for coming on board here. Of course, I think we had some stuff we were looking at. Sim Rat Market, I do apologize. I think we had some issues with, I do believe, Andrew Dyson getting into the guardrail there. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think we're going to look at a replay here pretty soon. I just want to show this just so that we can really go to show how hard these guys are cutting the dog leg, trying to get every little bit of time you can, because you've really got to straighten up the left-hand turn, right? You know, you take that first right-hander into the bus stop, but you've got to take it really hard and just straighten up your entry into the first left-hander. It's kind of the more important spot there. I think we were just a little bit behind on the replay there. It started just a little bit late, but as he went into that corner, he actually clipped that inside guardrail. I could hear the sound of it happening from the TV3 camera, and I mean, I just wanted to show how absolutely hard these guys are pushing up front. I mean, they are just so close to this wall every time they go into it. But this is Andrew Dyson going into turn number 1 afterwards. He's just kind of reeling in that gap to Garrett Maines. If we go live, he's right on Garrett Maines' bumper coming out of the carousel.
Yeah, I think he's getting ready to go through the bus stop right now. I think this is actually right beforehand. So he's getting ready to come. He's coming to the S's at the moment, getting ready to come into the bus stop. But you are correct. On the live screen, we are seeing a heavy race for the lead. I'm wondering if this contact maybe made him faster, maybe, as we see right there. Boom. Just a little contact there on the right. Was not too bad. Shouldn't affect him. Like I said, it might even be making him quicker because he is all over Garrett Maines right now. He turned, I do believe, one of the fastest laps of the race. The time, the lap right before here, a minute, I do believe 09.890. That was only, I do believe, a few hundredths off of Garrett Maines' fastest time. So Andrew Dyson is heating up at the right moment, I'd say.
Yeah, Andrew Dyson's doing a great job. My apologies on that second replay. I thought we had zoomed forward instead of backwards further, so that's my bad on that. But Andrew Dyson, he's just continuing to apply that heat to Garrett Maines, and you know, as we're talking about them, Sean Conklin has cut down the gap to 2 seconds. He was about 3 back. He's completely left Trent Dinkle and Neil Pearson in the dust. They're way behind, and Sean Conklin's actually running just a little bit faster than both of our leaders right now.
One person I got to even talk about is too, of course, we'll keep the camera on these guys that are battling for the lead. Rodrigo, Novaez, he was back in 18th. He had missed the grid. He's back. He's now up to 13th. He has been running down pretty much everybody that is in front of him. You know, I've seen him during the commercial break. I was kind of watching him, and he was making passes left and right. And so I just think we should really keep one of our eyes on that 9 machine. He's gonna be one that is gonna be a good place to catch some really good action.
Yeah, I'm actually really surprised that he started from the rear. I mean, he could have gone back-to-back in the NIS tonight with how much pace he's got. I mean, we saw he qualified on pole, so he was crazy fast as is. So I'm a little surprised to see him choose to start in the back because, I mean, he's just got so much pace coming from the back of the field.
Yeah, for sure. Now, we're watching, of course, this battle up here, and it just seems like you could tell how very difficult it is to pass here. Dyson, I think, has got a little bit more pace than Maines, but also one thing we got to keep in mind because of how fast this racetrack is. Downforce is very, very big here. I think that Dyson is in the wake of Maines, and that's going to cause him to have a little bit of a lack of downforce.
Yeah, for sure. Especially through corners like the carousel. It's a little bit slower. You got to wait on the throttle. It's just a little bit harder to get the throttle down whenever you've got so much dirty air forcing you out. And you kind of saw it that time. He got really, really wide coming off the carousel. Lost just a little bit of time. But he's still right on Garrett Maines' bumper. You know, he's 2 tenths behind. And in the next-gen car, I mean, that's just a corner or two of Garrett Maines slipping up just a little bit. And it'll allow Andrew Dyson to get there. And, man, he just really throws that car into the final corner there, getting it really loose, letting the rear end step out every single time he goes through that corner. Really impressive here from Andrew Dyson to be able to keep up with our, well, I was about to say points leader, Garrett Maines, but he did lose the points lead last week.
Yeah, I mean, Garrett Maines is not a slouch at all. I mean, he's one of the best drivers on the service. I mean, you know, always, he's always in contention to win. And when you can come up here and go door to door and race with him like this, you know, you deserve a ton of credit. Andrew Dyson, of course, being that person, of course. But I think that Andrew also sees Conklin. Conklin's been steadily faster than both of these drivers. Conklin's going to enter this picture. It's just a matter of time. And, you know, we talked about how much he was struggling last week at Indianapolis Road, this is a different driver we're seeing right here. I think that this is a driver that has really applied himself. That is like, I don't want to go out there and embarrass myself like I did last week. This week, I'm going to really put together a good show. I'm going to put a lot of laps in to make sure I'm prepared. And he's definitely showing it. You can see the results right now as he's cutting tenths out of their gap.
The best thing you can do after having kind of a, like you mentioned, embarrassing race at Indianapolis, go onto another road course and show up the field and maybe beat Garrett Maines and Andrew Dyson at their own game. Be really impressive. As we look at a replay of Hunter Devine, I'm not really quite sure what happened there. But anyway, we've popped over to Ryan Teagle going into the bus stop. We're going to see, does he get into this inside wall? Oh, he actually gets a little loose going in, does clip the inside wall, and then spins it back around to the left. Luckily slides back off the racetrack so he doesn't collect any other competitors. Honestly, good job not collecting anybody else, but unfortunate for him to make that mistake going into the bus stop.
Well, he's from Oran Park. I do believe that's a racetrack, a road course, if I'm not mistaken.
My goodness,
look at that battle from Daniel Nanny there. And I do believe Manny completely misses the bus stop. Both drivers actually miss. They're both going to have slowdown penalties there. Who is that he's racing with?
That's Tyler Marble. They were door banging coming out of the S's. I don't really know what happened there. It looked like Tyler just kind of cut across Daniel's nose whenever Daniel had a run. And then they both just overshot the bus stop. I really don't know quite what happened there, but they're still nose to tail, I believe. Well, they're about a second apart, but I'm going to keep an eye on them as they kind of, maybe that gap closes back down, because that was a little argy-bargy. I wouldn't be surprised if Daniel's a little frustrated with Tyler Marble after that move out of the S's.
And you know what that has done, too. We were just talking about Rodrigo. He's up to 12th now. He is like about a half a second, a little over half a second behind now Nanny and Marble. And, if these guys are getting frustrated with one another and they're racing each other hard, that could make it easier for Rodrigo to get by here and move his way up into the top 10. I'm telling you, I think this guy has got possibly a top 5 in his future here. And what a recovery that would be to be able to, not make the start all the way back, outside of the top 20, essentially, and then still finishing the top 5. I mean, that would be quite an accomplishment.
That would be really, really impressive from Rodrigo here. I mean, like you said, he's already came from the back up to the 12th position. He's got 11th and 10th in his sights. The only problem is he is 15 seconds off of the top 5. I think he's probably on speed, on merit, a 4th place car, but just with him starting so far back, it's hard to make up that much time at a track like Watkins Glen, where it's just so fast. People are on the throttle so often that it's just really hard to make up that kind of time through the corners. I mean, if you can really, really bomb the bus stop, then you can make up some time, but I mean, it's just such a difficult track to actually make passes unless somebody makes a big mistake in front of you. So I'm sure he's kind of hoping Daniel Nanny and Tyler Marble make more mistakes. Right as I say that, Daniel Nanny goes through the grass. Looks like he's probably going to get another slowdown penalty right here, and Rodrigo's going to be able to pass him on the inside, exiting the carousel. I imagine he's got to slow down from that. It looks like he's giving it up a little bit. Gets a little bit loose out of the carousel again, but he's not actually giving up that position, and Daniel Nanny's still looking to the inside. He finally lets off going into the ultimate corner, my goodness, and Rodrigo's going to take that 11th spot.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely. One thing about racing at tracks like this is, the thing that is really holding him back is, I mean, it's like you were talking about not being able to get the time back. That's the biggest part of it, is having to race with other guys. That guy doesn't have to let you go, and you can just see that time just starting to dwindle away. And there's no cautions that are going to bring you all back together, too. I mean, that's one of the big things about this kind of style of racing, is that, we would see at Michigan a couple weeks ago, caution come out, you could be a lap down and get that lap back, or you could be 10 seconds behind the leader, you get all that back and get another fresh shot at it. That does not happen here on road courses.
Yeah, even if it had been Garrett Maines that started at the back of the pack, I don't think that he would win this race, especially given the pure pace that we're seeing out of Andrew Dyson, and especially Sean Conklin at this point. Sean is really running within a tenth of the leader every lap. Sometimes he's gaining a tenth, sometimes he's losing a tenth. But Andrew Dyson has started falling off the back bumper of the leader a little bit. He was 2.5 tenths back not too long ago, and that gap has actually stretched to 8 tenths of a second at this point.
Yeah, and I'm wondering if maybe that's got something to do with the clean versus dirty air. Him sitting right there behind Maines for so long could have prematurely worn his front tires. But here comes Maines. Maines is having to deal with lap traffic now. I think this is one of the first. He's got a lot of traffic actually in front of him that he's about to have to deal with. And this could change everything for Andrew Dyson. It could be bad for him. It could be good. I mean, that's not a good place to catch someone, though, through the bus stop. That's for sure.
Yeah, he actually had the short end of the stick of the first lap car. He actually lost 2 tenths just through the bus stop, and I think he pushed the lap car off. I honestly don't mind that from Andrew Dyson. He got screwed from a lap car last week, and that lap car let Garrett Maines go and then just kind of pulled up in front of Andrew and was really slow through the bus stop. So it's just kind of hard to slow down whenever you've got somebody that is just way off the pace in front of you. So no harm, no foul there from Andrew Dyson. It just pushed the lap car off the track just a little bit, and he was able to regain himself and didn't lose any spots. So good job from Andrew Dyson making that as good as it could, and he actually has cut that 2/10 back down through the last sector of the racetrack.
Yeah, I mean, there's a veritable minefield right now in front of Garrett Maines, and it is kind of the opposite of what you expect. Usually you see the lap cars battling the leader harder than anything because they don't want to go a lap down. Not second place. They usually let second place go. As Maines, man, he's catching these guys at just the wrong time through the S's. You can see how close that he got to that other driver. Really had to show a lot of trust. Put a lot of trust in those other drivers coming through this fast area. Any little bobble or something like that sends you careening into the metal guardrails. And, but of course because Maines had caught that lap car at that time in those S's, that brought Andrew Dyson that bought him about 3/10.
Yeah, Andrew did a little bit better there getting through Jason Wallot through the S's. And then it actually brought Sean Conklin within just about a second, but then Conklin caught him in the S's or in the bus stop, and it cost him another half a second. So it's just kind of tough where you catch the lap cars, and we just really don't know who's going to win this race based purely off of the lap cars. Looks like this one's doing a good job here getting to the inside of the racetrack, trying to get out of the way as good as he can. I think that's going to hurt Dyson more than it hurt Maines, but still, it was pretty minor. So good job for most of the lap cars so far. I don't really have any complaints, at least not as big as I had last week whenever Jose took out the leader.
Oh, wow. I guess I missed that one. That's for sure. I was having some computer issues last week. But, I mean, I guess I need to check the broadcast out to see exactly what happened in that whole ordeal. We just saw some guys coming down pit road for green flag stops, which is, I think this is a good time to start doing it. Of course, if you're getting ready to go a lap down, you might as well go ahead and drop down pit road. I think a lot of the leaders might even be thinking about doing it as well, as we are kind of getting closer to the end of the fuel window. Of course, like I mentioned, it's about 32 to 34 laps, I think, if you're not saving. I don't think anybody's really going to be saving. It really does not help you. There's no chance for caution to come out, nothing like that. So I feel like everybody's pretty much going, foot to the floor, trying to get as much out of the race cars as they can, which is going to make the fuel window be a little bit less. So I'm assuming 32. But what would your strategy be, Austin? Do you split it in half, or do you run the tank out?
I'd probably run the tank out just because I think you can run a little bit faster whenever you're on low fuel. Now, the only difference would be, okay, do you see a big gaggle of lap cars right in front of you? Like, if you see 3, 4, 5 lap cars lined up in front of you, you probably gain more time from pitting and coming out in clean air right then, regardless of what your fuel situation is. So I think it's just a little bit of a strategy call, but I don't know. It really just depends on when they catch lap traffic, which, speaking of which, I said Jose took out the leader last week. That leader was Andrew Dyson, who's running P2 right now. And Jose Acosta is the second car ahead of the leaders. So I'm a little interested to see if Andrew is a little less patient with Jose than he was the other lap cars. I wouldn't blame him if he was. But, he has kind of fallen off of the back of Garrett Maines again. It's a little over a second now, and Conklin is still running just as fast as the leader.
And how frustrating that has to be. I mean, that's something you never forget when a car wrecks you and you're in the lead. It's a heartbreaker, and I'm sure Andrew Dyson has got that right in mind right now. He sees that red car, in front of him, and also Garrett Maines probably also has got it in mind as well. I mean, he might know a little something. iRacing's a small community. It gets around, like what happens last week.
Yeah, for sure. Respect's a big thing on this service, and honestly, it's kind of been lacking in recent months. The last couple of years, it just seems like the respect factor has dwindled on iRacing. To iRacing, or to no fault of iRacing, just a little bit of the player base has just kind of gotten into that aggressive mindset where I'm not going to give anything. I'm just going to take. And, it's not just, Jose, right? I know I'm harping on him for last week, but there's a lot of people that just run really, really hard and do not care what happens to other drivers. And so the respect factor has just kind of gone down in recent weeks, recent months.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you hate to see it. Hopefully we'll get to see it come back at some point. But it looks like Garrett Maines was able to get by without relatively painless. But here comes Andrew Dyson up to the rear of Jose Acosta. Let's see how this goes. Is this going to be a little bit more of a drama field? It looks like Jose definitely not really letting him go. As you see, Dyson goes really wide to try to get a good run. He's going to come up to Jose. I think this is going to be relatively painless here. That's good. I mean, I know us as broadcasters love it when drama breaks out. But I don't want Andrew Dyson to get wrecked. He's been really good. I mean, he's kind of the underdog here tonight.
Yeah, that's all you can ask for a lap car right there. You gotta, whenever you're in that situation, especially at a road course, right? If you're in an oval, okay, you're running to stay on a lead lap just in case a caution comes out. You're running to keep the lucky dog just in case the caution comes out. But in a road course like this, you just need to let the leaders go whenever they get to you, because if you battle them, it costs them time and it just costs you time. And at the end of the day, what you're doing at road course races is trying to complete 45 laps around the circuit in as little time as possible. And if you're battling a leader or one of the top 5 or whoever, you're just losing more time, right? And you're not racing the leader, right? Jose's not going to make up a lap on any of these guys at this point in the race. There's no way, because there's no cautions. So you just let them go, make sure that you get the best possible finish you can get and you don't hurt anybody else in the process. Got to commend Jose. That was a big difference from last week. So I hope that he kind of learned. I think that was actually a really good job.
Yeah, 100%. And, the golden rule, do unto others as you would have them do to you. I mean, you might be in that situation one day to where you're being held up by that driver. And I mean, I hate to say it, sometimes karma might play a role there. Like you might be getting exactly what you reap what you sow, if you will. But we just saw a pass. I do believe Lawrence Shaughnessy just made it up to 7th place. Just got by Junior Bomarima. So Lawrence Shaughnessy having a pretty good day today, up to 7th place. Also Richard Garcia, quiet day for him. Neil Pearson, very quiet day. He's in 5th place, running some really good laps. He ranked last time by was a little bit faster than Trent Dinkle. So there's still some time for things to get shaken up. Of course, we still have green flag stops that are going to happen here. And that things can go very wrong on a green flag stop at a track like this. I mean, it's very easy to speed or get penalties, and that could be costly at a racetrack like this.
Yeah, this is a very easy track to speed on. The pit road entrance is just kind of strange coming out of the last corner. You really got to position yourself well coming out of it, sacrificing your exit speed because the entrance is so late or so early after the corner. And you got to get it woed down to about 40, 45 miles an hour really, really quick. So it's a difficult pit road to get on, and it's, opposite of normal tracks, right? On the ovals for most of these guys, you're entering pit road and turning into your box on the left. Here you've got to turn in on the right. And whenever you're offset in the left of these cars as the driver is, it can be very strange to kind of find your spot, and it's very easy to be lined up wrong to where your pit crew cannot service your car. So there's just a couple extra mistakes that you can make on a right-hand turn course versus a normal oval.
Yeah, for sure. It doesn't fit, exactly what you are used to doing. Your kind of muscle memory. And a lot of NASCAR racing on iRacing is a lot of muscle memory. So that's something that these guys are definitely having to rely upon. I'm seeing some of the fastest laps that Garrett Maines has turned right now. I think that's because the fuel is getting light. The same thing is kind of happening for Andrew Dyson. They're getting to be running really fast laps because, I mean, the weight of the car is a lot less, and the tire wear does not seem to be really playing too much of a role. As we see, I do believe Vincent Crowe, we were talking about him earlier, he was a top 10 runner. Now is getting ready to go a lap down as he's in 20th.
Yeah, kind of sad to see Vincent Crowe drop back like that. He started in 14th, and I think he was running in the top 10 at one point. Maybe something happened that we missed on the broadcast. I'm not too sure, but, as much as I hate to see Vincent go a lap down, I love to see Quinn Half go a lap down. So I'm a little conflicted here. I'm going to have to get him to change that paint scheme. I'm going to tell him, look,
I love that paint scheme. I'm going to have to disagree with you. That paint scheme is gorgeous.
If you put on a slow driver's paint scheme, you're going to run slow. I
was actually friends with Quinn Half. I mean, he was in bad equipment.
Okay. I'll give whatever you say.
We'll just let that go.
All I know is on iRacing, I've never turned 3 lanes left, exiting turn 4 of Texas Motor Speedway.
There's actually a story that his mirror felt falling off.
Well, you know what? They have spotters, and
That's
even
true.
if my mirror fell off,
job that day.
If my mirror fell off, I would do everything I possibly could to stay on the bottom of the corner that you're going to pit on.
Oh man, we're bringing back stuff that's like a couple years old.
Well, the field's a little spread out, so sometimes I just like bringing up stuff that really irks me. And
well, that's the thing. It's like it's just I take it personally because I personally know him. I've had beers with that man. It's like you're just fighting words. We're about to meet after this broadcast, and we're going to go down.
Well, then maybe Vincent's had beers with him too. If you've met the guy in real life, then you can run their paint scheme. But still, don't be surprised if you get lapped in a lapper paint scheme.
Yeah, no, I got you. I definitely got you. Looking back to the race here, though, I'll tell you what, I've been very impressed with Rodrigo Narvaez. He has been driving through the field. He's up to 9th now, and he's catching up to the back of Junior Barima. I'm telling you, this guy might have what it takes to keep moving up to maybe the top 5. I think he might just be shy of that. I think he's going to work his way up to 8th, though, for sure, as he's catching up to the back of Junior here.
Yeah, Rodrigo's doing a great job, and he's, someone else that I kind of sang the praises of earlier as he just peels into pit road is Lawrence Shaughnessy. He's been doing an absolutely amazing job. Like I mentioned, he has struggled in recent weeks, a lot of it not to the fault of his own. I just feel like he gets caught up in a lot of other people's mistakes, other people's issues, and last week just wasn't a good week for him either, right? It was the Indianapolis road course, and, it was the rare week where I didn't see a fast Ryko car. I mean, I'm telling you, I never see Ryko cars slow, and there was none of them challenging for the lead in the last race. And here we've got Sean Conklin in 3rd. I believe Garrett Maines runs Ryko for NIS also. So both of those guys obviously towards the front doing absolutely wonderfully. And Lawrence Shaughnessy was running, I believe, P8, P7 before he pitted right there. So a great kind of rebound from a couple of the Ryko guys that we see in here. Oh, and Trent Dinkle up in 4th place right now.
Yeah, I don't think Trent is really associated with the shop, but he's definitely doing very good. He's definitely carrying that somewhat independent flag very well. And I think all the shops this week have been fairly equal. I mean, EPI, TWRS, Ryko have been very, very close when it comes to pace. So, you love to see it. I mean, I'm all about competition. I mean, it makes for fun broadcasts, and it also just makes for a fun iRacing climate.
Yeah, I like seeing different competitors up front, and it being a little different. I think I might be wrong about Maines. Maybe I'm not too sure. He might be a Ryko, he might not for NIS. But nonetheless, they've rebounded major from last week. Also, Dyson I know runs Ryko, so it's really good to kind of see. He was the lone kind of guy from that group that ran really, really good last week. And like I mentioned, he just got completely taken out by a lap car. So. No fault to his own that he did not win that race last week. But Rodrigo, the one that did win, is all the way up to 8th position.
Yeah, he's actually in 7th, considering some of the drivers I do believe just had a green flag stop. But speaking of stops, these guys are coming down any time now. I mean, we're at lap 32. We're seeing more and more drivers come down pit road. We have, I do believe, 14 drivers that are on the lead lap at the moment. As a lot of drivers, I do believe Drew Eisenman. Man, it just came down pit road. I expect Garrett Maines, Andrew Dyson, I think the rest of these drivers are going to be coming down any time now, maybe even this lap.
Yeah, the pit window really, whenever you're not saving at all, is 33 to 34 laps. Kind of just depending on your shift points, whether you're in 3rd gear or 4th gear over the S's, whether you're in 3rd or 2nd in the bus stop and carousels. We see some smoke also. I know we're looking at Richard Garcia, but there was some smoke through the bus stop. I don't think anybody actually made any big mistakes, but it was right in front of the leader, so it just freaked me out a little bit.
In the grass there, I think I saw what you were talking about. I'm not sure what race car that was, but we did see someone have a mistake there through the bus stop. Luckily, I think everybody was able to get through.
Jason Walleye here in the 76.
Yeah, I think he missed it, caught a little bit of the grass, and that just unsettled the race car. He went sideways, and I mean, those guys were coming through at full speed pretty much out the exit of the bus stop. Luckily, he spun away from the lane of traffic.
And the leaders actually coming down pit road. All 3 of the leaders right on time. I said it was about 33, 34 laps at the end of lap number 33. All 3 of the front runners that are contending for the win here come down. Like I said, we need to see whenever they come into their pit box, does any of them make a mistake where they kind of have to resettle their position? This is probably one of the hardest pit roads. I think this and Indianapolis last week, them both being that right-hand turn into your pit box, it's just really easy to make a mistake. It looks like Garrett Maines is in completely clean. He's fine. It's just going to be a gas-only stop for all these guys, too. Looks like no problems from any of the front 3. Sean Conklin's a little bit to the right with his right front, but he's going to be all right, too. But Garrett Maines is going to come out pretty easily back in the lead.
Yeah, I mean, Garrett didn't spend hardly any time at all in his box there. Just a really, really short stop. It looks like Conklin won the race off pit road compared to Andrew Dyson. So this is interesting. It's just shaking things up. I think Dyson might have had an issue.
Very unfortunate from Andrew Dyson, but, I mean...
He took 12.8 seconds in the box there, so I think he might have taken some tires or maybe didn't have the fuel set up. I know, they ran it out pretty much the tank dry, so a lot of times if you take full fuel, that's going to cost you a lot more time. It costs the same amount of time as a 4-tire stop. So I think that maybe Dyson just took a full tank. Garrett Maines and Conklin didn't.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. I'm watching Dyson back whenever he entered his box right now, and no jack going under the car. It doesn't get jacked up on either side, so he absolutely just accidentally filled the tank full. I mean, I don't know. Maybe he's trying to get the rear end out of the air, but I don't know. That's a little hard pressed. I'd be more I don't know. I think it was definitely a mistake. I mean, he was so quick, so it's unfortunate to see him drop back, 7 seconds off the leader whenever he was only about a second and a half. So it really just comes down to Sean Conklin now. We saw him at the beginning of the run. He was just as fast, if not a little bit faster than Garrett Maines. Can he reel that gap back in? It has extended to 3.5, 4 seconds, so it might be just a little bit too much for him to overcome. But I do know, I mean, Sean Conklin, he's only 3.5 seconds behind an iRacing Pro driver at a difficult, fast road course and a heavy stock car. He's only 15 years of age. That's really impressive from Sean Conklin to be able to run so quick at such a young age and be able to keep Garrett Maines honest throughout this entire event.
Yeah, I mean, and from what I've heard, a lot of drivers even attest that he used to not be so good. That he used to struggle quite substantially. But it seems like Ryko and those guys have really, I don't know. I mean, he just seems like he's next level. When it comes to improvements and growth there with Sean Conklin. So you got to really give credit where credit's due to that driver being 15 years old and showing such speed. I think the sky's the limit for a driver like that. When you're 15 years old and you're doing this well, when you're able to compete against coach drivers, the sky's the limit. But I think while we just had those green flag stops, essentially everybody has already completed their stops. Now is the perfect time. We'll go ahead and pay some attention to our sponsors with audio this time. We'll be right back, ladies and gentlemen.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to GridVision's presentation of the iRacing, of course, NASCAR iRacing Series here, of course, or NIS. My name's Brian Britt. I have Austin Estrom as my co-commentator. Austin Darbyshire been doing an excellent job with the camera angles. I do believe we have some replays queued up with some drivers involved here. Let's take a look and see exactly what our producer has found. As Jose Acosta, you see he's already got some right front damage and Let's see exactly. It looks like he spins it in the bus stop. Oh, this is right in the lane of traffic. Oh, my
Man.
goodness.
Who was that in front of Tyler
That
Marble?
was
I know
3
Tyler Marble was on
drivers.
the lead lap. Oh,
My
you hate that for
word.
guys like Tyler Marble. I can't quite tell who that was in front of him either, but Ryan Teagle, I believe Ryan was already a lap down, so not too terrible for him, all things considered. But Tyler Marble was running inside of the top 15 to my knowledge, so I hate to see that for Tyler. He was having such a strong run up there, just not really doing anything wrong, running good. Man, he just got stuck and pinned against that inside barrier too, costing him more and more time. I hate to see that for Tyler, but just a little mistake. I can't really say too much about Jose on that one. I like making fun of Jose sometimes, but I can't say too much. Just Drew Eisenman gets a little bit of contact from Sean Conklin. He's just trying to go around him to lap him, and then Sean gets back to his right rear. Oh man, just door banging between both of them. And unfortunately for Sean, fortunately he got away, but unfortunately for him, that has cost him a ton of time because Andrew Dyson has cut that gap from about 4 seconds to all the way to how much? It's just 6/10 now as we see another replay of Sean on the back of Drew Eisenman, just spinning him out.
My word.
I guess if you get door banged down the backstretch going to the bus stop, you're a little frustrated. So I don't know. You're running P2, you expect to get treated a little bit nicer than that. But that has brought Andrew Dyson right onto the back bumper of Sean Conklin. But Sean has done a little bit better job to stretch it out this lap. So as soon as he gets some clean air, he's been able to do pretty well.
Man, that was unfortunate right there to see that. I'm glad we had the replays pulled up for that because whoa. I can't believe that was happening. That's like some Saturday night short track racing right there. Those guys are beating and banging. Conklin definitely showing his displeasure. And that cost him, like you said, a ton of time. He was 3 seconds behind Maines, starting to catch Maines. And now that's not the case. As you see, Garrett Maines is actually having some issues getting around some lap traffic here as well. I do believe that is, I think that's Dante Wright.
That's just one of those things with it being a road course race. So I understand that the lap car kind of has every right to run their own race, right? But whenever you got a leader coming up on you like that, like I mentioned earlier, it just costs you too much time to fight somebody that's not on your lap. There's literally no point in doing it at a road course. So while that was aggressive from Sean, especially the second one, he had actually cleared him going into the bus stop, and through the bus stop on the same lap, Drew Eisenman actually went through the bus stop and cut him off to get back in front of him there. So to kind of slow him down even more. So I don't necessarily blame Sean for that. That was a little aggressive from Drew. I know that maybe the first contact was on Sean a little bit through the S's, but you just expect to have a little bit more respect between lappers coming up on him on road courses than you do ovals, and I don't really think Sean got that going into that corner. So if I was in his position, I probably would have done the same thing going through the carousel.
Yeah, you can't really blame him, and it's just frustrating, especially, these guys have already been 40s, almost 40 laps into this race. Sean Conklin already, probably a little bit on edge, considering early in the race, he lost some positions, had to gain them back. Has just been kind of having to fight an uphill battle all race long. And now he's getting ready to have to probably fight a battle between him and Andrew Dyson. Dyson has very much been closing in that gap. So I think that definitely ain't going to be a boring finish this race. I think the battle for second is going to be definitely on the docket here.
Yeah, that's for sure. And, I don't necessarily blame Drew Eisenman too much for being upset, right? I get his position, but whenever from the driver's seat, right, in the broadcast booth, we can see just how fast Sean Conklin has been all race to be able to run up to the back of Garrett Maines and Andrew Dyson on that first run at one point. But from the driver's seat, you can't necessarily tell that. But whenever you see the lead lap cars coming at you with about 6 or 7 laps to go, and it's within a 3-second gap like it was to the leader, you got to understand the guy in second place is running for the win. If Garrett Maines up in first place would have made 1, maybe 2 mistakes throughout the last 7 laps, Sean Conklin would either be right on his bumper or through to the lead. But now, Garrett Maines is smooth sailing, and he's going to have absolutely no problem coming through to win this race. So I hate to see that for Sean. I just think it cost him too much time. But I don't know. I don't blame Drew for being upset. I just don't necessarily like the move through the bus stop to get back in front of him.
Yeah, a lot of it, I think, comes down to perspective. Like you were saying, we kind of have a little bit more of a top-down look at it. We can see all the things that are going on the racetrack, while like you said, Drew just couldn't see how fast Sean had been, and how close he was to possibly getting up there to possibly take that lead away. And but of course, because of all of that, either way, I'm grateful to both of those drivers, because now we're probably going to get to see a race for second place. I'm all about the entertainment value here.
Yeah, that's a good point. And I mean, Garrett Maines is running so much like faster laps right now. I mean, he's running last lap his was a 109.8 from Garrett. I mean, that's absolutely blistering pace. But I mean, from Sean, I don't know. Man,
Oh, the 76 around right in front of the two drivers that were fighting for second place. Wow. I do believe the 76, that is a custom number.
Yeah, that was Jason Wallet. We're for sure going to have to get a replay on that as we go straight into it right now. Going into the bus stop here, Jason Wallet. Let's see, what does he do going into the first corner of the bus stop? Pretty clean through there, pretty clean, nothing. Oh man, he just had a big bounce in the rear tires coming through that second apex of the bus stop. And I mean, good job getting it off to the track to the left. I think that's the second time we've seen him do that exact same accident. The bus stop is kind of turning into his turn 7 from last week as we got another replay on the boards. Oh, it's just the same thing. Yeah, he just kind of clipped the grass on the inside and that left rear tire started chattering as he went over it. And once that happens, especially in these next gen cars, man, you get that rear diffuser off the ground, disconnected where the downforce just is not working. And it's just really hard to get the car back settled, especially on these road courses with the curbs spiking you up like that.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, and just to look back at Garrett Maines here, lap time wise, this guy is flying. A minute 09.480. He just set his fastest lap of the race. And that is, he's fastest. He's the fastest by at least 4 tenths, three or so tenths. I mean, he is just blazing quick right now. I mean, that is just crazy to see. But the battle is on for second place. Andrew Dyson closing in here as we're coming to the white flag. Closed in quite a bit. I think Conklin got held up by a lap car there. As now here comes the white flag. Going to be waving out in the air as Garrett Maines exits turn 7 onto the front stretch, and there it is. Next flag will end it. What a race it has been. This thing has flown right on by, and Garrett Maines has definitely put on a show here. But here comes the race for second. Dyson dives it into turn 1. He goes wide, locks up the right side tires, and Conklin's able to defend.
That was a really smart move from Sean Conklin. He saw Andrew was really just going to dive it into turn number 1. That's probably the best passing opportunity on the racetrack, if I had to say. And just to be able to have the presence of mind to say, hey, I'll let you go straight on in this corner. You're not taking me out with you. I'm going to let you go off the racetrack, and I'm just going to take it right back on exit. Great job there from Sean Conklin, just kind of recognizing there what Andrew Dyson was going to do and making sure that he just had no part of it. Now he's going to easily come through to finish in second place unless he makes a big mistake through the last 2 corners.
Yeah, definitely. Great job to him to be able to, like you said, just to make the right call. I think that was the rational decision to make right there. And, of course, Garrett Maines coming out of turn number 7 onto the front stretch. He will win at Watkins Glen in the NIS Series. What a job for him to be able to just lock that down. I mean, fastest lap of the race by far. And he wins with over 9 seconds on Sean Conklin. What a job there. Conklin, of course, able to be rational and take home the second place position. Andrew Dyson, what a job from him as well. Finishing in third. I think Dyson would have had a chance possibly for the win if he had not messed up on pit road by taking fuel. But what a race. As, of course, Garrett Maines has got him one to celebrate here tonight as he has won a lot of these things. Now, keep in mind, could this help Garrett Maines possibly get back to the points lead? We had just discussed him losing that points lead, Austin.
Yeah, I think he could definitely grab it back after this absolutely dominating performance. I mean, he started, 7th place, and I think he led every single lap of the race. I don't know how you start 7th on a road course and lead every lap. But, I mean, just an absolutely impressive show from him. Kind of got to give a couple more shout-outs throughout the field. I mean, Rodrigo coming from the very back and finishing in 7th place. Unbelievably impressive from Rodrigo at one of the toughest tracks to pass, in my opinion. Lawrence Shaughnessy, like I mentioned earlier, great rebound race from the number 9. It's really good to see kind of Lawrence make up the kind of deficit that he's had the last couple of weeks and have a really good showing, a good top 10 here for him after he's had some issues. And JR Borborema, I feel like I've been saying his name just about every week, finishing in the top 10, and he gets another consistent 10th place finish.
And here comes Garrett Maines burning it down, doing some donuts here at the Glen. He didn't go bowling, but he definitely got himself a strike, that's for sure, as he does some tight donuts. And that brings us to our final running order here, our results. And that Garrett Maines, your victor here tonight with a dominant finish. Started in 9th. We talked about that a little bit just now. You touched on it just a little bit. Started in 9th place. Took the lead on the first lap. That is just insane. Sean Conklin in 2nd place. Andrew Dyson in 3rd. Trent Dinkel in 4th, Neil Pearson 5th, 6th place Richard Garcia, 7th Rodrigo Narvaez, 8th place Lawrence Shaughnessy, 9th Marshall Martell, quiet race for him, 10th place Junior Barbarima.
11th is going to be Tyler Marble. Actually, good recovery after we saw him kind of get into an incident with a couple lap cars. 12th place is going to be Vincent Crow. Good recovery from him, too. We saw him back in 12th or 20th place at one time. 13th, Brian Smith. 14th, Alan Wilson. 15th, John Payson. 16th, Dante White. Right. 17th, William Driley. 18th, Cody Richardson. 19th is going to be Don Keene. I believe that's actually Dan Keene. 20th, Daniel Nanny.
21st, Drew Eisenman. Saw him get into a big accident there with Sean Conklin. And of course, 22nd, Mark Paget. 23rd, Joe Beasley. 24th, Matthew Spinazzi. 25th, Andrew Perkins. 26th, Jason Wallot. 27th, Adam Motts. 28th, Hunter Devine. 29th, Ryan Teagle. 30th, Jose Acosta. 31st, Michelle Bastien. And of course, I do believe 32nd did not start the race, Cody Neal, I do believe. And with that, we'll take our final commercial break. We'll be right back with our post-race show.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to GridVision's coverage of NIS action at Watkins Glen. Of course, we just concluded the event. We're going to be actually starting our post-race show where we'll be talking to our second-place finisher, Sean Conn. And, of course, standing by with Sean is Austin Edstrom.
Hey, Sean, do we have a copy?
Yeah, I do.
Hey, Sean, really good race from you here today. I mean, we saw you lose a couple positions on the first lap, but then you were able to work them all the way back up to the third place position here before the pit stop. and it looked like you might have had something for our 2 leaders there before the pits. What just kind of fell off? We'll talk about the lap car incident here pretty soon, but what kind of fell off a little bit before that to kind of have you drop about a second or 2 off where it looked like you should have been?
A lap car incident is just, I don't know, a lack of awareness or respect. I don't know. He just stayed in the way, didn't get out of the way, and then after he wrecked himself, he came back and wrecked me again. And then, yeah, after the pit stop, I feel like we burnt up our fronts too hard, and that was crucial in the carousel, and that was just pretty unfortunate. We lost a lot of time there. Like, I would always be 2/10 up, aiming for at least a 0.95, and it would just lose it all on the carousel from burning the fronts up. But we had good pace in the beginning. I wish we could have seen what I could do if I didn't get ran out of the way in the beginning. But all in all, I feel like I should have done better, but it's still a pretty good race.
Yeah, we kind of saw you struggle last week after we normally see you up front at all the oval races. So after last week, I was like, okay, well maybe he's just an oval guy. But after this week, you went toe to toe with a road course ringer and Andrew Dyson, and were just as fast as Garrett Maines through most of the portion of this race. Would you consider this a big kind of comeback race for you to kind of prove to yourself that you can run on these road courses just as fast as the fastest out here?
Yeah, it was. Last week I had no practice. Basically, that race was, I had a little bit of practice before that, and that was my first race. I was gone all week. I wanted to do at least one race, and I just couldn't pick up on it. And here we spent a lot of time on the setup, and I've done a lot of practice laps, and it's paid off throughout the week. I was hoping it would pay off for a win here tonight, but second's still pretty good.
Yeah, and you can't really complain about coming in second to a pro like Garrett Maines, right? He's crazy fast. So you coming in second and being just as quick as him, like I said, for the first 30 laps of this race, that really says something about your talent. Are there any, what is it? Sorry, I'm losing my mind. Are there any shout outs that you can give us for tonight?
Yeah, I'd really like to shout out Ken and everybody at Ryko. Me and Ken have gone crazy on this setup this week. He has spent hours with me, and we have put in so many different laps, and it has paid off. We're really fast this week, and I'd like to just give a little shout out to Conklin Creations, I guess, for that paint scheme you see on that car made by me, if you want to go check that out.
That's a nice paint scheme.
Yeah. And yeah, that's about it. Just big shout out to everybody at Ryko for giving me this chance, and this chance has meant a lot to me, and I feel like we're really gonna go somewhere in the future, and Ken thinks so too. So we got people that trust in me, and I am very happy about that.
Yeah, you clearly showed a ton of potential out there tonight, being only 15 years of age and running just as fast as Garrett here through most of this race. That says a lot about your talent and a lot about the setup you had under that piece. So congratulations on your awesome podium finish, and I'm sure we'll see you back up towards the front next week at Daytona.
I sure hope so. Thank you.
No problem, man. All right, that was Sean Conklin. We're going to actually throw it over to Garrett Maines now with our lead commentator, Brian Britt.
Yes, sir. Garrett Maines, man, what a job. I tell you, that first lap was legendary. Just seeing that, that was a highlight-worthy lap there. You drove from 9th all the way to the lead. How do you do something like that? You got to be, is AI driving that race car? Because it's just crazy, man.
Well, I will say, it wasn't 9th technically, because one guy didn't grid, so that put me up to 7th, but everything that could go right there did. I knew I'd have the opportunity to dive into the bottom on one, especially, I picked a point as we were coming up on it, and when I realized the people in front of me were braking early, I knew I had the opportunity down the inside. I definitely didn't want to be on the outside, so I took that, and then the opportunity to pass 2 more was there going into the S's. So we ended up into 3rd, going to the bus stop, and I think the leader missed the carousel by a little bit, checked up 2nd. I got a massive run down into 6 and 7, and somehow got lucky enough to clear 2nd before I got to 1st, and then drove around the outside of 1st. It was insane. I might actually have to post that later. That is definitely highlight worthy, and I cannot say that I've ever done anything like that on a road course, so definitely a good way to start the night.
Yeah, you were literally cutting. You were literally cutting through of course, the field there. I mean, it was insane. Like you said, you kind of jumped down in front of second place. I mean, it was really, really something that you should share for sure. I mean, it definitely is going to get a lot of views, and we might share it ourselves. I mean, you might have to submit that to the iRacing top 10 because they're going to be like, whoa. But definitely a great job to you. I mean, now I know you had some pressure though. It wasn't necessarily just a cut and dry domination for the first stint. Before the pit stops, Andrew Dyson was keeping you honest. How were you able to kind of keep that pressure from getting to you?
So I definitely felt the pressure from Andrew, but I was looking at Sean and I felt way more from him just because I saw him coming and I didn't know if there was anything I could do about it. I mean, I know there's time in cutting the bus stop and I have no idea if he was doing that, but it was in my mind, like, am I giving up pace by not like pushing this? Because you can definitely, extend track limits a little bit a few times to gain some time, and I was trying to minimize that. But yeah, they were keeping me honest the first 30 laps and all over me. I didn't want to overheat the fronts. I said it like probably lap 10. I'm like, I think they're pushing it just a little bit harder than I would, and it really showed when the end of the race came around. I will say I had an incident with Cody right after the pit cycle, and he had me heated, and that was immediately I picked up like 3 tits. Like I just started pushing the car way harder than I had been and just trying to get everything out of it. All of a sudden I was like hyper focused on what I was doing, and we were able to put down some really good laps. But I think had I not picked up all those spots off the start, and Sean hadn't, I think he caught the curb wrong. Had he not gone wide in turn 2 after he got pushed out there, I think it would have been a slightly different race. I would have been fighting an uphill battle. But overall, I mean, I gotta give a huge shout out to Raiko. I mean, that set was insane. It took me a few laps to figure it out. I don't think I got my tires quite warmed up enough in qualifying, but it was quite the piece. I mean, it did everything I wanted it to do throughout the race. So definitely a lot of credit there.
Yeah, definitely. Very much seemed like a fast race car that you had, and dominant performance. You turned some really good laps. You mentioned them. Speaking, one specifically was your fastest, which was the fastest of the race. A minute 09, I think 0.480, I think it was. Very, very fast lap. I mean, I think that might even be close to world record status. I mean, how much preparation do you put in for a race like this? Or is Watkins Glen just like a track that you're just automatically kind of good at? I mean, it's kind of it's a traditional NASCAR road course,
Well, just to shout out the set even more, that was I think 3/10 to the world record, so that was apparently a absolute heater. But yeah, I mean, preparation for these races, I have experience at this track. Like, we've ran this in the Coke Series a couple times, and so I have a general sense of how to get around this place. I kind of wish I warmed up a little bit more. I did a few laps before tonight, and I didn't quite get it down for that lap 2, which I thought it was just me, missing my line, but it was like I'm just not getting enough heat in the tires. So I kind of paid the price there in qualifying, as you can see with the 9th place starting position. But man, once I got in the race, I mean, it came to life. So
that it did, man. Well, great job. Congratulations on the victory, and we'll have to see if you're going to be able to take the points lead. I know you lost it, I think, last week, but you might maybe have gotten it back. We'll have to wait and see. Of course, Daytona's coming up next week. We're going to be rolling some dice. Do you feel confident about Daytona? Do you guys going to come up, with a good bit of friends? It's going to be teamwork. That's going to be the key there next week.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're going to have a good piece for Daytona. We've always, had a good group of guys to run there. Everybody on Raiko has been really strong this year, and we work together well at the plate tracks. But I think as far as the points go, I think we're in a comfortable position. I've missed quite a few races, a lot of weeks. I've showed up for the road courses and not the big points nights. But I think I got it back tonight because I hadn't run yet this week. This is my first race, and so I was behind by this week. So we're definitely the points leader right now. But I think as the season continues to unfold, Daytona, Talladega, those are going to be huge points weeks. I don't think they're going to be like the key to winning it. But for other people, if I don't get good points, it's an opportunity for them to have a shot at us. So we'll see how it goes. But I feel very confident, and Raiko's been on it this year. So every week we've been strong.
Y'all definitely have been. So definitely hats off to you. Very impressed with y'all's performances. Garrett, before we let you go, can we give any more shout outs for you?
Yeah, absolutely. Got to give a huge shout out to Cover Seal, Bucked Up, Lennox, MCU Body, the guys at FGR XL, and everybody that's helped us in Coke on Raiko. It's been a great year, and hopefully we can we got 3 more races, and we'll be back for Daytona next week. I won't be here for the broadcast race, but hopefully we can continue the season and finish out strong.
Well, we hate to hear that, Garrett. We'll have a great night, man, and don't party too hard.
Appreciate it. Thanks.
Alrighty, that was Garrett Main's driver of the, of course, 1 car tonight. He was the top of the board and definitely made it known as he was able to start it in 9th, finished in 1st. Definitely a fantastic performance from him. I mean, just, man, you can't, nothing. Even he was kind of impressed with himself, Austin. You know, the way he did that lap. I mean, it was like almost like divine intervention the way he was able to get through that field.
Yeah, I couldn't believe it whenever he put down that lap time. I think the fastest lap I said I had seen prior to this race, and this was a little bit colder track tent than we have seen through the A Opens this week, but nonetheless, I think the fastest time I had seen this week was a 109.9, and it was a high 9. So I'm just madly impressed. I know it was on low fuel, but a 109.4 at a track like Watkins Glen, I think he said he beat the world record by 0.3. That's just a ridiculous lap time, and really just the icing on the cake of just a dominating performance here from Garrett Maines.
Yeah, 100%. Definitely hats off to him. He earned it, you know, and Sean Conklin definitely deserves some honorable mentions for a great drive. Andrew Dyson as well. I mean, he was setting some really monster laps. But everybody that showed up here, everybody, you know, that finished on the lead lap or, you know, even just stuck with it to the end, we appreciate it. Everybody that races in these series is, you know, they make the show here at GridVision, and we appreciate it. Of course, we appreciate it as well, everybody that tunes in. I do believe we have the schedule. We're going to be taking a quick look at that. Of course, we only have, I do believe, we got 2 races left in the week. Of course, after this one, we just concluded Watkins Glen here in the NIS series. Of course, tomorrow going to be interesting. That's going to be a first time for me. Formula 4s at, I do believe, Long Beach. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, my producer can correct me. I think that's at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And that is, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So make sure you tune in. We are confirmed that David Land is going to be in the broadcast booth with us as well. We're going to be at Long Beach. I think that's going to be quite the race, too. I'm not sure exactly how long it is, but it's going to be an interesting one. So make sure you tune in tomorrow for that. Of course, Sunday, Watkins Glen. We're going to be back in action in the Global Racing Truck Series. Me and Austin Edstrom's going to be on the call for that one. And me and Austin always have a ball calling those races. And I have a feeling it's going to be the same way at Watkins Glen. Of course, definitely excited. And next week, I do believe we were talking about Champion Power Equipment. They're going to be, I do believe, at Phoenix, concluding their season, and as well, of course, after that Thunderclap. So we'll of course get everybody the scheduled video on Sunday or Monday. We definitely though appreciate everybody's patience, and thank you everybody for tuning in as well. This has been an awesome show here tonight. We love calling these races, and well, hopefully we are able to call them for the foreseeable future. We definitely appreciate all the support that we receive and all the views and likes and things like that. Of course, if you enjoy what you've seen here on GridVision, make sure you do give us a like and subscribe. Look at our descriptions below the stream here. We have social media that you can follow us on as well, that we a lot of times put updates and things like that on. But of course, on behalf of everybody that is associated with GridVision, Justin Levine, Taylor Burris, Austin Darbyshire, of course, you, Austin Edstrom, for always being the best co-commentator I can ask for. My name is Brian Britt. This has been GridVision. We'll see you next time.